Welcome back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real life working screenwriter. I'm Tasha Hugh.
And I'm Josh Hallman.
And we are Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This podcast is just one of the things we do. Thank you for joining us here. Please subscribe to the podcast. Also, just send us topic suggestions, questions that you have about the industry, about craft, about managers, agents, produce anything. We'll take it all. And we'll talk about it on the podcast or email you directly or both. And you can do that at act2writers@gmail.com, all spelled out, or on our Instagram and Twitter at Act2Writers. I'm Story Thursday on Instagram.
And I am Josh Hallman on Instagram. So I know we have stuff to talk about, but I want you to know that right before filming this, right before recording this, my computer just stopped working, turned off.
In the middle of something.
I was just sitting there, and then like I was getting ready for us to record, and then it like went dark, and I had that moment where I thought, well, this is it. I guess I can't write.
Life stopped making sense for like a fraction of a second.
I'm too dependent on my computer, but I did think, because I was planning to write tonight, I was like, I guess I'm not writing. I guess this is just like my fate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I texted you, or you texted me, and then all of a sudden it went boom and just turned right back on.
That's terrifying.
It was one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me.
I mean, it is. It is. To a writer, this is nightmare fuel.
Anyway, I know we have stuff to talk about. I know you have This Week in Writing. How are you, Tasha? You're good? Life's good? We're good.
Yeah. A lot of writing happening in a writer's room actively. Morning is waking up writing. Whole afternoon is talking about writing.
Yeah.
And taking notes, and then get home and I'm more writing. Repeat.
As you should. We were discussing this. I had just asked you right before we came on how it feels being in person. You've been in person in different rooms for quite some time now, but I had for some reason forgotten. And this is just a reminder of how important it is to like be around human beings, especially when you're a writer and you're just sitting by yourself and it's a lonely experience on your computer and it turns off and you've got nobody.
Honestly, writers, being in person with writers is like the greatest thing that could happen to you.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, I have no children, but like sitting in a room and being like, hey, I don't know what happens in this scene. I need the story to do this at some point, but I have no idea how we get there. What do you think happens in this scene? And everyone is like, this idea, this idea, this idea, this idea. And by the end of it, you're like, we have an idea, you guys. I now know what happens in this moment. Is one of the greatest feelings that you can't achieve by yourself.
No. And it's mostly not on Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, on Zoom, it's nearly impossible. As someone who has written a show or like been a part of a show, a TV room on Zoom, it's different. I mean, we managed it. I think we ended up with a good show, but it was like pulling teeth versus like the energy that you find, and I think the quality of ideas that you find in a in-person room.
Yeah.
So it's a good reminder to also have like writers groups, because it's the same idea.
Yeah, go talk to people.
Yeah.
Go live a life.
You know what we haven't done in a long time, Josh Hallman?
Tell me.
Writers group in person.
I was thinking about that. What happened? What happened to us?
We broke down.
I think just life happened to us.
It all started when I had to move to North Carolina for a few months, and then last year, and then I feel like we started let's just do it over Zoom, and then we got comfortable. We got too comfortable with Zoom.
We did. COVID got us comfortable, and then we kind of got back into it. And then, yes, we went back to Zoom, and then it was just...
I think the fact we all live in opposite sides of Los Angeles, where traffic is atrocious, really helps the Zoom factor. Because at least two of us are going to get fucked going to writers group.
Yeah, we should... I think we talked about this, where we can do Zooms, but like if it's important or something, we get back together, go in person.
If someone asks for an in-person, you got to do in-person. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. That's like, someone just shot the firework off the Titanic, and you
Batman
have to go
signal
save that
for
person.
sure.
Yeah, the bat signal has been released. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tasha.
Yeah.
This Week in Writing?
Yeah, I have This Week in Writing.
This Week in Writing.
So, I love Mike Flanagan. We probably all know this on the podcast already. Big fan, okay? You know what movie of his I haven't seen?
Absentia.
Life of Chuck.
Oh,
You know what movie I saw on Sunday? Life of Chuck.
what did you think?
You've not seen it.
No, I was going to watch it and then I did not.
That's how I felt. It would just like get passed by. It never felt like that exciting enough for me to make the effort at the time of my life that it came out. But it always was like sold to me as the feel good movie by Mike Flanagan, which is, if you know Mike Flanagan's work, he is a fantastic horror director. That's what he is known for, and that was very surprising to me. So yeah, I didn't choose it. Paul was like, "We're having a date night. This is the movie we're doing. I want to feel uplifted." And I tell you what, as soon as we started watching that movie, we're like, "Are we in the wrong movie? This is not uplifting. This is a horror movie. This is
No.
this is completely uncomfortable. What am I watching?" It was incredible in the best possible way. So I highly recommend it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, particularly you, because it is like it's a feel-good movie told through the lens of a horror director, writer. It's also based on a Stephen King short story, I believe. So it's great. It's so it here's a taste. It starts with Act 3 and ends in Act 1.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, color me intrigued. I'm going to
Mhm.
watch it. It's funny because everyone has brought up the movie The Drama to me recently. Not everyone, a
Hmm.
few people in my life, and I haven't seen it yet. And everyone really likes it, but everyone's saying, "Oh, I don't want to spoil it for you. There's certain things happen you'll never think of what's happening." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, now I have to see The Drama."
Right.
Okay, so Life of Chuck,
Life of Chuck.
I have one. I caught up with the producer and we were talking and I was told I had this one idea that kind of might fall in his wheelhouse. And I was like, what about this? And we were catching up. I was just kind of spitballing things. And he said, whatever happened to the one thing that, it was an action film like about this, this, and this. And I was like, I don't think that was me. And he said, "Yeah, no, we talked about it. It was your idea. You had this idea about something, something, something." And I was like, "I did?" And he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay." And I kind of went along with it because I kind of liked the idea.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, "Huh, all right." So I was convinced it wasn't me. And then I came home and I found a document I had written that's like 2 pages of an idea that I have no recollection of writing. I think I had some kind of like demon inside of me write
Whoa.
something. And I know this has happened to you, but it
Yes.
happened. And I have that rule where I'm like, if I don't write my idea, or I always think good ideas will stick with you. So I'm convinced it's not a good idea, even though I heard it and I liked it.
I would trust that over whatever is happening in your head right now.
Hmm. Okay. I just wanted to bring that up. These things happen.
As you're talking, I remember I texted you and Dave, friend of the podcast, because I had discovered a script, like 30 to 45 pages of a script that I do not remember writing. And I was like, "Ooh, this is good. Ooh, this is good."
Did you ever revisit that?
I did for a long time. And then just like life got in the way, and I tried to like pitch it to my manager, and she didn't seem interested and like change the subject. So I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, like I'll sort of move on to other more pressing things." But it's there. I've developed it even more than what had been. It's nice to go back and read something that you enjoy, because I feel like the usual is to go back and read something and you're like, "Oh dear God, that was awful.
Yeah.
I need to redo all of this."
I
Yeah.
assume all of the old things are probably awful.
Yeah.
It's like you hide them.
So maybe that's a message to you that this is actually good. You reread it and it's actually good. It's not worse than you expected.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway,
I have one last week in writing. I said I only had one. I lied. I have two. I had dinner the other night with some friends who are all writers, and the tone was decidedly sad, I think, about the state of the industry. And they're mostly TV writers. And it was a lot of feeling like the industry is contracting. And it's all the things that we hear in the news, right? And sort of colloquially, that there's just not enough jobs. And I was a beacon of hope, Josh. You would have been so proud of me.
okay, let's hear it.
I talked about how we can't get in our own heads, because part of the conversation turned to, people aren't choosing me, they're not trusting me, or, maybe I don't have what it takes, and they're seeing that. There are other people more qualified than me to take these jobs. Just a lot of negative self-talk, right? And I was like, no, professional athletes think about think about these moments like this. And I brought up Tom Brady. I mean, I was inspired.
Yeah.
Started just talking about how Tom Brady thinks about how when he has the ball in his hand, he's like, he's gonna win. There's no question in his mind. He wants the ball, right? There's a great moment in West Wing where President Bartlett talks about how he never did well in sports because he never wanted the ball, or I think it's vice versa. I don't remember,
Whoa.
but I remember because it feels like President Bartlett would always want the ball. Um, but regardless, like for me, I know that I as a writer sometimes like I don't want the ball. Having the ball is scary. What if I fail? And what if they know that I shouldn't have the ball and the ball should go to someone else? But Tom Brady doesn't think that way.
And so did that help at all?
I think they were all nodding, everyone around the table, and they're kind of like, yeah, like that's a cool idea, Tasha. That's nice.
Yeah. It's a tough thing because you have to stay positive. It's so easy to be negative, and then once you get negative, you just keep, not to sound one way or another, you keep finding the negativity, right? Because it kind of aligns up with what you think, and it's so easy to go on social media and just feel depressed. It really is. But there's so much good, and like I mean depressed about the industry, and
Yeah.
then there's other, so yeah, you just kind of have to focus on what you can control and hope that, you do your best with it and just like keep pushing and kind of block this shit out.
Yeah, you just gotta you keep going and you keep thinking you can do it. The more you think you can do it, the more you can do it.
More you can. That's not to say, by the way, I don't think either one of us, it's not like we don't complain about certain things. We're not like delusional people, I don't think.
I hope not.
I'm just saying that.
The world is burning around us. We're just like, no, we got this. It's all fine.
That's actually how I am.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Hey, I'd rather be that than the other way.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Okay.
All right, so our topic today is in prep for our discussion about structure tomorrow night at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with all of our co-EP level Patreon members. It is about the structure of Wake Up Dead Man, the script written by Ryan Johnson. We're going to break down each of the turning points within the movie, talk about why they work, why they don't work, what function they play in the story. And so we thought today we would talk about structure kind of in prep for thinking about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we're about to get into it, but can I just lay out some of my favorite structured movies?
Oh, yes, please.
Back to the Future,
Mm-hmm.
Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Mm,
Die Hard,
sure.
The Fugitive,
Great.
Jurassic Park.
Perfect.
And the last one, just because it's more relevant, this isn't my favorite, but I feel like it's got very good structure, is Obsession.
It does have a good structure. You're so right.
I feel like it's very, very clear in terms of this happens, this happens, this happens, this is a turning point. And I know people fight structure, but damn it, it's important.
It's so important. It's so important to just know. You have to know it if you want to break it. And the greats use it. And at some point it becomes instinctual. You sort of know that, oh man, Act Two is taking so long. I need a turning point of some kind. And you feel it. And I think we all feel it. And I think that's why structure is so important, because we can feel when stories aren't developing and changing and feeling exciting. So yeah. Curveball on one of my favorite structured movies is Jane Eyre by Cary Fukunaga. It's surprisingly perfect in structure, and you don't feel it. You just know that it's right. Highly recommend if anyone's intrigued by that movie or have seen it, like go through it beat by beat. And at page 25 is the break it deck. At page 50 is the midpoint. You could just, I mean, we should have done that movie, but I feel like, Wake Up Dead Man is flashier.
I think it's a lot. And I feel it's like it's going to be a little more complicated.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to start right off the bat with the status quo part of the movie. This is what everyday life is like for your characters before the adventure of the movie. Maybe they're a bad person, maybe they're a good person, maybe they have no ambition, maybe they're an alcoholic, but whatever it is, this is who they are and what they do with their lives before your movie forces them to do other things. And the status quo is important because it invests us in the characters. It tells us who they are, why we should care about them. It also tells us what what the character needs. And if done really well, it becomes a kind of teasing peek into what your movie is probably going to be about, right? Like Maverick in Top Gun is a risk taker. He's got a sense of humor, but he also equally takes risks to help his friends. We see Tony Stark is a playboy billionaire philanthropist who cares about nobody except himself. He probably has to learn a lesson at some point, right? So that is the top of your movie, the status quo. Inciting incident is the next phase of your movie. It comes around page 15. This is when the adventure of your movie knocks on your protagonist's door for the first time. This is the thing that disrupts their status quo in some way. You mentioned
Yeah.
obsession. Obsession is a very perfect one. It's him snapping the magic stick and wishing for his friend to love him more than anyone else, right? In Harry Potter, it's getting the first letter from Hogwarts. It completely disrupts their everyday life in some way. And the inciting incident is so important because your hero, your protagonist, can't just directly move from their status quo into the adventure of their movie. It takes a lot for us to move out of the inertia that is our everyday life. Something has to kind of snap us into it, and we may not choose it. It may be something that is the thrust upon us, but regardless, it comes in a stage before we break into Act 2. Typically, of course. Once you know the structure, you could fuck with that. Page 15 could be your break into Act 2. You could have an inciting incident happen on page 1. All of that is fine. But we're talking about kind of standard structure here. Break into Act 2 is the next phase of your script. Comes around page 25, I would say. I've heard people say page 25 to 35. Whatever floats your boat. Page 25 feels right. And this is like when Harry chooses to go with Hagrid to leave the Dursleys.
Everything you just described, I feel like, to me, the most important part of the movie, because if you're reading, if this is your script, you're either in or you're not in at this point.
Yeah. It's like Breaking Act 2 is too late. Like the inciting incident has to be like when I'm reading a script and I see the status quo, it's like, oh, this is fun. What a cool character. What a cool world. Like that stuff is interesting me in the status quo section. And then the inciting incident happens and I'm like, ooh, holy shit. Like I've not dived into the full adventure of the movie yet, but holy shit, now I'm intrigued. And that's what your inciting incident has to do.
Yeah.
Breaking Act 2, again, around page 25. So this is the protagonist choosing the adventure, or the adventure is choosing your protagonist, and they have no choice but to leave their status quo behind. This is Moana venturing out past the reef to go save her island, in a nod to Josh. A lot of Moana is going to be talked about today. It's Supergirl agreeing to go with that kid to save her dog, right? It's the status quo is being left behind us, whether we like it or not, and we are entering a new phase of our lives, of the movie.
Yep.
Top of Act 2. We call this the promise of the premise. Like if you're writing a spy movie, it's all the cool spy shit. It's the stuff that we wanted to go see this movie about to begin with, right? We saw that trailer and we're like, I cannot wait for that. Some of the cool shit happens here in our promise of the premise at the top of your Act 2. If it's a haunted house movie, it's the start of the scares in the house. If it's an enemy to lovers romance movie, it's the fun banter of our lovers being forced to hang out with each other, but they hate it. It's the fun of the movie, whether it's literally fun or not, right? In the case of a horror movie.
And I just want to chime in here, going back to the status quo and how we were just saying, like, you're either in or you're not when you read that like the first 15 pages or whatever. I think it's because you know that status quo is about to get flipped so drastically in this fun area, the fun and games, or the promise of the premise, that's why that setup is so important, by the way. And it took me a minute to kind of figure that out, where it's like, well, this is just someone's normal life, but it's like that normal life is about to get destroyed. And I want to have so much fun watching it get destroyed when they're having fun in this section.
I know. The status quo, I love. This is like, the Act 1 is my favorite part of the movie. I usually write really good Act 1s and then terrible Act 2s. All right. After our fun of the premise, we get to the midpoint of the movie, around page 50. And this is where everything changes again in the movie. In Moana, it's when Maui finally gets his magic fish hook. And, in Act 2, Moana had found Maui at the top of Act 2. He's supposed to help fix the island, but there's a new problem because he can't fix the island without this magic that he has in his fish hook that's been taken from him. So now the first half of Act 2 is we need to go and rescue Maui's fish hook. And now we get it at the midpoint, and everything is amazing. Maui's going to help us, and we're heading towards the big bad. We're so excited. Maui can finally defeat her and save our island. So the midpoint is important because a movie can feel very boring in this kind of desert that is the Act 2 of our movie. It can feel slow if there's not some development, there's not some turning point in your movie. And the movie could change and should change your character in some way, but it doesn't have to be huge, right? It just has to turn the movie in a new direction. In the example of Moana, it's a plot device. Maui finds his hook. But there's a character example in the first Harry Potter movie where they fight the troll in the bathroom. Right after that midpoint turn, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are now best friends, and they now pursue together the mystery of the movie. And that midpoint also provides a helpful clue to that larger mystery, which is that Snape's leg has been torn up and Snape hides it. So the big turning point in that case is a character one. Our main heroes who have had a kind of rocky start in the first half of the movie, they now start to become friends. So midpoint can be either of those things, but regardless, some change needs to develop in the middle of your movie. And then we hit Tasha's second favorite part of structure, the low point. I love low points, love them. They happen around page 75 or so. In the example of Moana, Maui's hook that we were so excited about having at the midpoint, we thought it was going to make us bowl through the climax, no problem. Turns out the hook is not enough. Te Kā defeats them. Moana's flung far away in the ocean. Maui gives up. He abandons Moana. And then we find Moana all alone. She throws her Heart of Te Fiti amulet away. She forsakes her mission. She thinks she's not the right hero for this. In that Harry Potter example, it's that no one will listen to the kids, right? The kids come running up to Professor McGonagall. They say, Snape is going to steal the stone. But Professor McGonagall dismisses them. She tells them, go back to your rooms. And then on top of that tells them Dumbledore, who is the one wizard who could do something about all of this evil stuff that's happening, he is gone. He's not even at the school. So that is the low point. And it's important for a few reasons. I think, one, it is a really great way to just emotionally invest your audience. That's why I love it. It's a chance for me to like pull on everyone's heartstrings. I love characters who completely fall down and somehow find it in them to pick themselves back up again. And seeing that journey for them emotionally is always just really satisfying for me to watch as well as to write. So that's why I love the low point. And I think we just naturally as human beings tend to relate to someone who's like having their worst day
Yeah.
and somehow comes out of it. And that's really what the low point is about.
Yeah. All the lies that were told, they get exposed. Like everything's piling on at this point.
Yeah.
The Moana one, I hate to bring up Moana again, but that's also such like a perfect example of just one thing after she's abandoned, she gives up, all these different things start happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we call this moment, for good reason, the all is lost moment, the dark night of the soul, right? It's the adventure of your movie has brought your protagonist low for some reason. And we should be wondering at this point, at this page 75 point, how the hell this protagonist is going to get out of this, which eventually is what drives them to choose to go into Act 3. Or again, Act 3 is thrust upon them. It is more interesting usually, if the character chooses Act 3, but it depends on your movie and what you're trying to say. Regardless, our break into Act 3 is usually between like that page 75 and 100 moment. And it's where in Moana, Grandma appears to her and reminds her that she's like the perfect hero for this. And that's when Moana dives back down. She grabs her Heart of Te Fiti amulet and she agrees, I'm going to push forward into the climax, even if I have to do it by myself. In the case of Harry Potter, it's those kids saying, okay, none of the adults are going to listen to us. We're going to have to do it ourselves. And now, in our break into Act 3, we are armed with everything we have learned all movie. the confidence that Moana has learned, the magic spells that we have learned, our friendship, etc. We are brave enough to do this if we do it together. Whatever the lesson is of your movie, that's usually what helps the protagonist get out of their low point in some way, which drives us directly, propulsively to the climax of our movie around page 110, 115. If you're writing a shorter kind of thriller movie that tends to be 90 to 100 pages, all these page numbers are going to be a bit different. Calculate accordingly, but this is typical. And the climax, of course, is the culmination of everything, right? It's what your protagonist has been struggling to learn. It's the finale of your plot. It's the payoff of your B stories in a really surprising way. It's the most exciting part of your movie, the thing that we have been waiting for. And it could be as big as Supergirl fighting the bad guys in slow-mo, or Harry Potter versus Professor Quirrell and Voldemort. It's the holy shit moment. But it can also be small, right? We don't all write those big movies. Your holy shit moment doesn't have to be spectacle. It can also be like Elizabeth Bennet tells Mr. Darcy that she's changed her mind about hating him. And that's a tiny moment. That's a conversation between two people, but it feels huge because the movie has built in such a way, or the book, that we have been waiting for this whole time, and finally we get it. So that it feels big. So it just needs to be, whatever your movie is, it just needs to be the most exciting finale of whatever your story is that you've been trying to tell. And obviously, I think the climax is important because you want your audience to feel like all of the things that we've been investing in for 2 hours is now paying off. This is where writers can show how deft they are at the craft of telling stories, right? We are in the opposite place as our status quo. We feel like, holy shit, we've gone on such a journey with this character. Man, Project Hail Mary, just go see that if you want to get to a climax that is a holy shit climax that makes you cry and laugh and feel all the things, right?
This is why Wake Up Dead Man is such a good script for us to talk about, because I feel like, especially in murder mysteries and Rian Johnson mysteries, this is because of this, and everything's tying together, and it's the whodunit and that big explanation and things that you may have missed. It's so much fun to hear all of that just come together in this, and he does it so well.
Yeah. The low point of that movie is so uh, just beautiful because it takes place in a church. It follows characters who are a part of this Catholic church in a small town, and like the low point is literally the protagonist on his knees in the middle of a church, like giving up. Like that is the most sort of stereotypical low point you can imagine for a character, but it really fits, of course, with the story that he's been telling. So yeah, I can't wait to get into like the imagery of the low point, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, the climax is where you give your audience what they've been wanting all movie, and ideally in the most surprising way that you can. And then we sort of wrap up our movie with the denouement, kind of page 115 to 120. And I would say not every movie has this, right? I don't think you have to have this part of the movie, though there's always like some kind of wrap up that you do. Your movie doesn't usually end on a high. There's some kind of, even if it's just like walking away from the burning building that you've just exploded and you freeze frame, like that's still your denouement, whatever that is, half a page. But it's basically this nice happy bow. Or it can be a hook, right? The spinning top in Inception, I think, is a really great example of a hook version of this. Moana goes home, she has fixed her island, she reunites with her family, and then they all go out on boats. So no one's afraid of the ocean anymore. In Harry Potter, he wakes up in the hospital and Dumbledore kind of explains what's happened. Harry gets to rejoin with his friends. They win the house cup. Like everything just kind of wraps up really nicely. And then it ends with Harry going home and kind of saying like, that's not really home, right? His home is Hogwarts. So the denouement is important, I think, because it's really like the aftertaste you leave with your audience. For Moana and Harry Potter, it's giving the audience all of those good, warm, fuzzy feels that you just want to have from those movies. The world has been set right. But for a movie like Inception, it's more of like a holy shit moment, and it makes you rethink everything you've just seen, and it makes you debate about this for years afterwards. And that's also very exciting. That also fits with the kind of movie that he was telling, right? So I think your denouement can do a lot of things, but whatever it is the final feeling that you're leaving with your audience after whatever that epic and memorable adventure is that you just brought us all on in your movie.
Yeah, and Inception also, what's interesting is that it is rooted in character because, by the way, it's like one of my favorite movies, but I haven't seen it in so long that, so forgive me if I misremember this, but he leaves the totem to go be with his kids almost as though it does not matter whether he is dreaming or not dreaming. He just wants to be with his kids, whereas before the entire time he was like, is this real life or not?
Yeah. And avoiding it, right?
And avoiding it. Yeah.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I know. It's beautiful. It's perfect. Study the masters.
yeah.
That's it. That's what I got. That's structure in a nutshell. It's why those turning points exist. And if you want to dive deeper into that with us and talk about structure in our Zoom Q&A tomorrow, July 28th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, come and talk to us about Wake Up Dead Man and its structure. You can do that by signing up for our co-EP Patreon. It's $10. It's like price of a coffee, sadly, at Starbucks. And Josh and I will be there and we'll just learn some cool stuff together. And that's what we got for you today.
Amazing, Tasha.
Structure. I hate it, but I love it.
It's the greatest, but the worst.
All right, I'm going to wrap up with a quote of the day. We've done this one before, but it feels apropos today. A movie is really only 4 or 5 moments between two people. The rest exists to give those moments their meaning. Robert Town. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at Act2Writers for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram.
And I am Josh Hallman on Instagram.
And as always, the Act 2 podcast is a production of Act 2, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode is edited by Paul Lundquist.